Hello and happy Monday. And I want to welcome you once again to English 112 Composition 2. And as you know, I am your instructor, Joseph Lewis. It has been great getting to know everyone over the course of the last week in the discussion board. And again, I look forward to working with everyone this semester. So in this video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk a little bit about where we are right now in terms of our current writing assignment and where we are going in the next couple of days. As you see, I also teach this class face-to-face at the planetarium. So I'll move around a little bit to kind of give you a sense of what we're talking about in the face-to-face class, along with how that will be helpful for you in the online class. So the first thing I want to talk about is your annotated bibliography. So over the course of the semester, you are basically doing a research paper. And the annotated bibliography and the thesis supporting paper will be the research that you will do on the same topic over the course of the semester. So what the annotated bibliography is designed to do is to help you organize your research information that you will use for the final paper, which is the thesis supporting paper. So the annotated bibliography creates that extra step for you to help organize your information so that you can figure out what they are saying about your particular topic. And in that sense, when I say what they are saying, I'm talking about the professionals, the scholars, the academicians, what they are saying about your particular topic, so you can wrap your brain around that. Use that information in your thesis supporting paper to help prove your point, to help prove your observations. So one of the things I'm going to do is walk you over here to the front of the classroom and talk a little bit about what we are doing at this point and what we've done at this point in the semester with our annotated bibliography. So what you've done is in the assignment or on the e-learning website, and I'm just looking at the site now, is that you've begun with your annotated bibliography, and you've looked at the annotated bibliography assignment sheet, along with you've also looked at links on how to develop topics. So one of the things that I've wanted you to focus on over the course of the last week are the brainstorming strategies and techniques in developing topics. Brainstorming strategies are usually something that we take for granted because a lot of times we go into research projects and we say, oh, I have an idea, and so now let me go find information that backs up my idea. And that's not how the beginning of research works. A lot of the beginning of research is very exploratory. It's being really broad and general and getting a sense of what other people are saying about your topic, understanding some of the key issues, some of the major debates. So this is why you want to take time to do some brainstorming, figure out what it is that you're writing about, and then spending time doing some active reading on that topic. So at this point of the semester, you would have needed to go to the Writing and Research Strategies link on e-learning, and you want to make sure that you have examined and reviewed the how to choose a topic along with brainstorming strategies. Now, these two links again are going to help you develop some key terms that you can use to help guide your research. Again, you're not just like doing something, or you're not just, picking out a topic and then regurgitating information on that topic, but rather you're doing some exploratory research and active reading, which we'll talk about in a second, on that topic. So over the course of the week, you are supposed to be developing your topic along with using those brainstorming strategies to help guide your research. Now from here, I've given you the link. If you go to the Writing the Annotated Bibliography section in the content of e-learning, you'll see the assignment sheet, the details of the assignment sheet, all the things that you need to have in your annotated bibliography, along with a link on how to write the annotated bibliography. Finally, you'll see a link that discusses the differences between scholarly and popular sources. Now, in your annotated bibliography, you are required to have 5 sources. two of those sources have to be academic sources. So in that link on e-learning, it talks about the differences between scholarly and popular sources. It's not that popular sources are bad, but you as a writer, as a researcher, you need to be able to identify the differences between scholarly and popular sources, because that enhances your credibility as a writer. So make sure that you review that link on scholarly and popular sources, along with the link on Delta College's library. Now, to find academic sources, you want to utilize Delta College Library, the Delta College library system. But you don't have to stop there. You can use things like Google Scholar to help you find articles. You can also use Wikipedia to help you figure out what people are saying about the topic. Now, you're not going to use Wikipedia, or I should say, you're not going to actually cite from Wikipedia, but you can use cited information from Wikipedia to help you brainstorm on your topic and to help you find information from Delta College's library. So one of the things that I always talk about in my classes is to use Wikipedia to work for you. Use it to help you develop your key term searches, use it to help you develop your brainstorming, use it to help create a pathway for your research when you actually find scholarly sources on Delta College's website. And if you have any questions about identifying the differences between scholarly and academic sources, as always, I'm here to answer your questions through email. One of the things that you want to look at that I've added today is this link on the double entry log. So now that you're doing brainstorming, now that you're actively reading your academic articles, use the double entry log to help organize your information. So how the double entry log is designed is it's designed for you to record, to analyze, break down information from the articles that you're reading so that you can document what's actually on the page and supplement that with the page number, so you're starting to plan out your direct quotes. You're starting to plan out your paraphrasing, and in that next column, the column to the right, and you'll see it on the double entry log sheet, you respond to that. So you'll respond to that, you'll respond to the information that you're pulling from your articles by asking yourself questions, or I should say responding using the rhetorical situation, thinking about the audience, thinking about how the author is persuading the reader to buy into their observations. So what the double entry log does is that it helps you break down that information from the articles that you're reading for your annotated bibliography. Now, the next thing I want you to pay attention to on e-learning is the link on active reading strategies. Now, go through all of these active reading strategies, because what these active reading strategies will help you do is they'll help you read your article a bit more actively rather than passively. One of the things that we talked about in class today, and you'll see here, is the SQ3R strategy to reading. So we see the SQ and 3 R's right here. And so basically what that does is that the S, what that does is that it has you survey the text. It has you look at bold print. It has you look at unfamiliar vocabulary, important dates, names. Scan the article, get a sense of what's going on. And after you scan the article, ask yourself some questions about the article. Once you ask yourself some questions about the article, read the article to answer those questions. Go back, see if the predictions that you were making in your questions are fulfilled and when you actually read the article. Now, when you read an academic article, the idea is not that you start from word 1 and get all the way to the end of the article being 100% conversant on the article, but the idea is that you read for a purpose. And to understand what your purpose is to read that article, you have to ask yourself some background questions. You have to do some scanning and some surveying of the article. You have to what's called build your schema, build your prior knowledge about that article. Do some background research on the actual author. Find out some background information on the publication and the actual journal. Find out if the particular publishers have a particular political bent. All of this background knowledge is going to help you go into the article and actually read it. And even when you read it, it might be broken up in methodology. You might see a methodology section. You might see a review of the literature section. You might have a book that might have an interesting chapter that captures the thing that you're researching. Focus in on an aspect of the article and then use that aspect to help answer some of those questions that you've asked in the questioning phase, and then figure out if you need to do further reading. Again, when you're reading academic articles, it's not like reading a novel or a short story or a poem where you have to read from the beginning and know every single thing that happens from the beginning, middle, and end, but rather you're reading for your purpose. You're reading to gain information, to break down information, and the only way you'll know what to break down is if you build your schema. If you ask questions, if you do a survey, if you scan the article first. So after you've read the article, recite that information, talk about that information, rewrite that information on the double entry log, rewrite the information that you're reading into your own words. Make it intelligible to you. Make it make sense to you. Call up a friend, call up a family member, say, I'm doing this research project, can I throw some ideas out on, the thing that I'm reading? Recite the information that you are researching, and finally review. Review the things that you're reading. Come back and say, if I were to write about this today, what would I write about? What is the thing that's standing out? What is the observation that I'm having about this article? Because what that's going to do is that's going to help you. That's going to help lead to the next article that you find. Remember, with the annotated bibliography, you need 5 sources, and 2 of those sources have to be academic. So make sure in e-learning you review the active reading strategies link so that you can implement those active reading strategies so that you don't find yourself overwhelmed when you're reading the academic articles for your research. Now, moving forward, you want to make sure that on the 22nd that you have your rough draft of your annotated bibliography posted to the discussion board 2 in e-learning. And then you have until, I think it's the 24th, to respond to another student. So make sure you stick to that deadline. And then you'll get feedback you'll have feedback from another student on your annotated bibliography. If you have specific questions about your annotated bibliography, or you need specific feedback on something, just let me know and send that to me, and then I can answer any questions or any challenges that you might be experiencing with your annotated bibliography. One more important point before I let you go about your annotated bibliography is to make sure that you go back and reread the annotated bibliography assignment sheet. Make sure in the annotated bibliography assignment sheet you include the information that I'm asking from you. What I don't want in your annotated bibliography is you regurgitating information. I want you to look at that information, and I want you to pick out the rhetorical aspects of it. Describe how the author is proving their point. Does the author use pathos, ethos, logos? Who's the author's audience? Why is the way the author talking about the thing that they're talking about? Why do you think that that's particularly persuasive for their audience? So for instance, when we're talking about this issue of gun control, for instance, and we think about people who are for gun control versus people who are against gun control. Well, they still use the Second Amendment as a form of persuasion, but they use it in different ways depending on their audience and depending on the expectations of how they think their audience is going to respond to their persuasive speech. So I want you to look at your articles, and rather you just describing information about your about your topic and what the author is saying about the topic. Talk more about how the author is presenting this information. And again, when you are trying to understand how to use rhetoric and some of the terms connected to rhetoric, make sure that you go to the links on rhetoric in eLearning. Look at the rhetorical situation, try to understand the elements of the rhetorical situation, and scroll down to the bottom of that link and look at that PowerPoint presentation. That PowerPoint presentation talks about context, it talks about audience, it talks about purpose, it talks about author's background. These are the terms that you need to be using to describe your articles. And when you describe your articles from more of a rhetorical approach, you'll be able to break down your articles in a much more detailed way. It'll help increase your critical analysis for when you go into your upper level writing classes. So make sure that you review those links on eLearning. As a reminder, your rough draft for your annotated bibliography is due on the 22nd, and you have a couple of days. I want to say it's until the 24th to respond to someone in the class. And if you have any questions or concerns about composing your rough draft, please feel free to shoot me an email. Once again, happy reading. Happy writing, and if you have any questions or concerns, just let me know. Until then, I'll see you in cyberspace.